Well, good evening, everybody who can see this. My name is Mix Hawk, as you probably know, because it's on my pages. So, 2 weeks ago, I recorded a short video about what's going on. It's been 2 days after Russia attacked Ukraine, and I've seen so many lies on the subject. I've seen so many fakes on the subject that I decided that I will just um, record a video about what's going on there. So I did it 2 weeks ago exactly, on Saturday. And it had some good response. And during those 2 weeks, we got some issues. We got some new things were popped up, some new information, some new fakes that showed up. So I decided I will record another one just so you could be updated on the situation that's going on around Ukraine. Well, if I see we have 3 people now, so probably more to join, and I especially called it the video for my conservative friends because we face the situation now that really the most of conservative media gives as many fake news as usually the CNN and MSNBC gives on other subjects. That's why we need to correct it. We need to really bring up what's going on there. In the last 2 weeks, the war became really brutal, and Russians attacked Ukraine pretty hard. They're attacking civilians, they bombing the hospitals, they bombing schools, the universities. They not allow civilians to get out. They don't allow the humanitarian corridors work. They don't allow people to get out, the civilian people to get out from the cities they blocked. The actions are really, literally reminds on the Nazi Germany in the World War II. Actually, on the Russian territory, they did the same with my native city of St. Petersburg that had a name Leningrad then. And it's really hard. 2 weeks we've spent checking out on our friends, helping, gathering some help, some assistance, doing some Russian-speaking radio programs. So a few things that I've seen that need to be updated and need to be really. I think we need to really talk about it. So first, I hear it over and over again that Ukraine is not a democracy. Ukraine is pretty corrupted, and I was partly talking about it in my previous video, but what I've heard is that Ukrainians killed the previous president and kind of grabbed the power. This is blatant lie. I don't even know where they get this stuff. The president of Ukraine, the one who was 2 presidents back, he ran out of the country after he started killing people during the peaceful protests. He started killing people because Putin, actually, he was a Putin's puppet. Putin forced him to start really brutal actions against his own people. Then when 1 million people came out of the streets, he just ran. And then Ukrainians, according to their constitution, they put the temporary president. Then they had a democratic election. They elected the previous president, Petro Poroshenko, who was a president for 6 years, according to the Ukraine constitution. Then they had a re-election, and Petro Poroshenko lost the election. His opponent, Vladimir Zelensky, who's the president now, he won with over 70% of votes, and acted president, left his position. So could you tell that it's not a democracy? It's exactly what it is. So all these ideas that Ukraine doesn't have a democracy is a lie. Of course, they have a lot of issues with corruption, but still, it's still not even close to Russia. Now, next thing I've heard, and I think Tucker Carlson and others talking about it a lot, that about some biological laboratories in Ukraine that kind of work on viruses and biological weapon, on chemical weapon, and the Pentagon is sponsoring it. So talking about that, well, here's the story. Here's the story as it is. Well, Ukraine has some laboratories, scientific laboratories, as Russia has and as every civilized country has. Those laboratories, chemical, biological, others, they've been there since Soviet Union. Of course, some of these labs worked with viruses, virological laboratories. In 90s, when the situation was really hard financially for all ex-Soviet republics, and especially Ukraine had really serious hardships, those laboratories were in danger because they don't get enough finances. They couldn't keep up with important security issues to keep all these pathogens and viruses and safety environment. So the United States, and I'm not sure about Pentagon exactly, but maybe it was a Pentagon too. But anyway, the United States decided, they had a deal, and the United States financed those laboratories not to do some special research, but they financed it just to keep them alive, just to prevent any catastrophic issues that may happen if some of those pathogens they worked with would be released because of lack of security and lack of the way how they handle it. Because the chemical lab or biological lab, it's not like, it has some restrictions, it has some rules. You cannot just close the door, lock it, and go. You need to have a special cameras, you need to have a special temperatures, you need to have all that stuff. And they just literally didn't have money for all that. So United States started paying for it. Yes, there are laboratories. Yes, they are chemical and biological laboratories. And yes, United States financed it. So where did all the conservative media get all this weird information about biological weapon, COVID-19 research and stuff like that? Well, they got it from Putin. They got it from Russia. Now, Russia attacked Ukraine, and after 9 days after this, they became this information. They gave us this information that Ukrainians have these biological labs and they do these terrible things and of course they connected Dr. Fauci to it because they know that conservatives now hate Dr. Fauci. Of course, they connected all that. They connected specially to brainwash and mislead American people into the wrong direction. With all that, they gave some documentation. But if you will look at that documentation, you will find nothing about COVID research. You will find nothing about really dangerous pathogens. They really have what they have in these documents, but the problem is that people don't go into it. People don't make a research. They've heard that, they have documents. I think no Tucker Carlson, no any other conservative commentator who was talking about this lately, they never went into these documents. I'm not even sure that Tucker is qualified enough to. Sorry, with all my respect to Tucker Carlson, I don't think he's qualified to read the biological documentation. So the thing is that all these documents that Russians showed to the world is just a regular biological laboratory documents. They have some viruses because it's virological laboratory. Of course, they work with it. Of course, they do some research on that, but this is nothing special. You can find the same type of laboratories all over the world. And it would be a little bit naive, if you will, if you will, believe that all of them are horribly creating biological weapon and stuff. So that was just a typical Kremlin propaganda to show Ukrainians as some brutal people who are doing some crazy stuff. So by the way, the way that I do this stream right now, you can write a comment, and if you have any questions, and I will see these comments and I can answer it. So if you have any questions right now, you can answer me, and I can talk about that. So now the Russian media is reporting that Ukrainians are shooting their own people and destroying their own building just to accuse Russians in doing that. Well, I don't know if some people really believe such a craziness, but since I've heard it from people, then I think they really believe in that. What should I say about it? People who's living in Ukraine, it's they see what's going on there. You cannot hide it for days and weeks. You cannot kill your own people so nobody would even notice it. If something like that would really happen in Ukraine, people in Ukraine would know about it, and that would be that would be a it would be a big explosion around it. We have contacts with Ukrainians. We have contacts with almost every region. I'm talking to people. I got messages from people. I got emails from people from those regions every day. Actually, in the last 2 weeks, I have to almost cancel everything I'm doing, all the jobs, all the money making, because I'm totally fully monitoring the situation. I'm getting involved in everything that's going on there. We are really deeply involved with all the humanitarian aid, with all the refugee situations and stuff. And I understand that for some people who don't know me, I'm a known name, so you don't have to trust me. But to people who know me, believe me, if something like that would really happen there, I would know about it. I would heard. Sometimes we get some information from people that we know that are in the same region, but they do not know each other. And if they say the same thing, you know that this is a truth, because those people just not connected. They're just saying the same thing because they see in reality the same thing. You can understand that they didn't came up with it. So this is really a shame what is going on, and it's really a shame how and I can understand, I can understand these motives that people think that CNN is lying to us all the time. So if CNN said that Russian invaded Ukraine brutally, then probably they didn't. Probably it's a different story behind it. But no. You have to understand also how the propaganda works. Actually, those lying medias, they don't want to lie. They want to tell the truth because they understand that everything they say could be tested, could be tried, and they don't want to lose the audience. They don't want to lose the trust of the people that watch them, because it's money. They get money from their watcher, from the followers. So they trying not to lie. Unfortunately for them, for example, when they had to cover everything around President Trump, they had to lie a lot, because without lying, they couldn't put the guy down. They just couldn't. It just wouldn't work. But every time when they can speak the truth without hurting their agenda, they will speak the truth. The same thing is going on in Russia. When Russian media don't need to lie to cover their agenda, they wouldn't lie. They would speak the truth. This is why some English-speaking Russian media in the United States covered some events in the United States pretty well and pretty correct because it doesn't hurt their agenda. They can do it here because it doesn't influence them. It just give them the credit. It give them the extra trust from people that watch them. But when it comes to something that they really need, when they need to reach the certain goals, of course, they will lie. They will do anything they need to reach this goal. So you see, covering the situation with Ukraine doesn't hurt any Democratic Party agenda. It doesn't hurt what they do here in the United States. So they will tell you the truth about it, just to gain some trust. So please don't think that everything they say. Of course, we need to all the time. We need to check what's going on. All the time, we need to really have different sources about subjects. Unfortunately, Ukraine, for some reasons, they were not really good on covering what's going on in their country through the years, in English. So I understand that English-speaking people don't have any sources to get the information from what's really going on in Ukraine, about events, about culture, everything. And now when the war broke through, we see a huge lack of reliable information from Ukraine for American people, because mostly what people here get is from Russian propaganda media, and the conservatives pick up this stuff and spreading it all around. And I'm happy to see that it doesn't work for a lot of people, but still work for some. And now I'd like to share some other things concerning to Russian war against Ukraine. And it's a sad thing. I really don't like to tell about it, but it concerned Russian Christians and the condition of church in Russia today. Some of you know that I have a Russian citizenship, and everybody considers me as a Russian Christian because I came here to the United States as a missionary actually, I lived in Ukraine last 6 years before we moved to the United States, but I still a Russian citizen. I know a lot of Russian ministers. A lot of them are my dear friends. A lot of them were my dear friends before the situation changed and their position changed. But still, I have a lot of great memories with some of them. I still love people, but the thing that's happening with Russian church, and I remember I recorded a video on that, pretty long one, a few years ago, telling about what's going on with the church in Russia. Unfortunately, a lot of Christians in Russia today totally took the side of Putin, starting with the situation and with the war in Georgia in 2008, when Russia attacked Georgia. They sided with Putin when Putin invaded Crimea and occupied and annexed Crimean territory from Ukraine. They were totally supporting old Putin's agenda, everything he's doing. They, not all of them, of course. We still have pretty decent, honest ministers in Russia, but mostly, especially people who have a higher positions, people who have like a bishops and stuff like that position in Russian church, they really doing some really ugly stuff, especially really, I know people who's coming to the United States and fundraising here, raising money, gathering money here, Then they go back to Russia and telling that it's all America's fault. Americans are doing all this kind of provoking Putin, creating all this strife and division between Russia and Georgia, Russia and Ukraine, all that stuff. And I hate to hear it because it's a lie, first of all, and especially because Christians doing it, ministers doing it. So what I see now during the last 2 weeks, I've seen some videos of Russian Christians. I've seen some text that Russian Christians wrote, some posts, and of course, with all the brutality of Putin's war in Ukraine, those people are not happy to support the war openly. But two things that I would like to cover on this. First of all, I hear a lot like Russian ministers saying, hey, let's not looking for who's guilty. Let's just love everybody. It's just universal evil all around the world. So let's not search for who's guilty in this situation. No, we will find out who's guilty, and we know who's guilty. We know who's aggressor in this war. And the Bible tells us that we cannot call the evil good and the good evil. Putin attacked Ukraine. This is clear. This is plain. So it's not a situation where it's, hey, there is nobody's guilty. It's just happening because of universal evil. Yes, there is a universal evil. There is a devil, and there are people that willingly submit to devil, and Putin did, and those people who are trying to protect him do it also. So please don't do it. And please don't trust those people when they start saying like, hey, everything's fine. Nobody's guilty. It's just happened. We are Christians. We're not supposed to follow these things. No, it's not true. The other thing that I hear is that Russian Christians now claiming that they will help Ukrainians and help Ukrainian church, and they raising funds now to support and help Ukraine and Ukrainians and the situation in Ukraine. So what I have to say about it, you guys, of course, you have your own thing. You can do whatever you want. You can donate your finances if you want to whomever you want. But from Ukrainian side, I can tell you 8 years since the occupation of Crimea, Russian ministers were really harsh on Ukrainian church. They were blaming Ukrainian church in all kind of things, slandering Ukrainian church. And finally, they came to the situation when Ukrainian Christians, mostly against, again, as I say, not talking about everybody in Russia, but mostly, for the most part, especially official Russian Christian unions and stuff, Ukrainian Christians don't want to do anything with them. The other thing, Ukrainian people, Christians and non-Christians, claimed it many, many times in the last few couple of weeks that they don't need any assistance from Russians. They don't need any help, any humanitarian help, any financial help, anything. Ukrainians willingly accept assistance and help from European countries, from the United States, from all over the world, but Russia. Ukrainian Christians don't want to get any assistance from Russian church at all. So if you hear that Russians collecting money to help Ukrainian church, you can know that this money wouldn't go to Ukrainian church. Even if they have a good intention and they will try, Ukrainians wouldn't take it. So if you really want to help financially to Ukrainian church, you can contact me. I can give you, not give me money, but I will give you the directions, the organizations here in the States, the trustworthy, that really help in different ways. And you can even know, because we have some organizations that help with the military equipment, some with medical equipment, some that help with a humanitarian aid, some that help with sending the volunteers who's helping like with the medical issues, with with kids, with everything. So I can help you to find the decent and trustworthy group that really work with this, and you even can donate for the certain purpose. But I'm just letting you know. Of course, you again, it's up to you. It's your money. It's your finances. You can give it to whomever you want. You have a right to do it. Yeah, but I just want you to know that it has nothing to do with helping Ukraine if it goes to Russian people, to Russian ministers, Russian church, or anything connected to Russia. The situation is too brutal, and you may say that uh, this is not a right. It's not really a Christian way to look at things. We need to forgive people even for their past mistakes and stuff. And I understand and I agree with it. Yes, we have to forgive. We have to forgive for 7 times 70. But right now, we have to realize that the situation in Ukraine is too brutal. It's too hard. It's too uh, emotional for people. So at least in a closer, uh, I believe, at least for a year or two, I don't think that it's too emotional. It's too big of a tragedy there. Too many people lost their friends, their brothers, sisters, children, parents, and it's all because of what the Russian government did, and Russian church on most parts supported Russian government. All this unfair and brutal things that they did to Ukraine through the years. So if Russian people really want to help Ukrainians now, they need to do it through the third party. They need to do it through some Americans or through some other European groups, but Ukrainians wouldn't accept from them. Well, so I'm just giving you this update. If you have any questions, please let me know. Please write the comments or write me a direct message, whatever you want. And I'll try to help and answer again. And I guess maybe maybe next week, because we're traveling and we're going back to Midwest, but we're going to travel for a week and minister for a week. And probably there we're going to get with some volunteer groups, and probably I will get some more updates and more information. And actually, the war situation in Ukraine is changing all the time. Now Russians kidnapping people. We have reports on rapes and stuff like this. So things are really horrible. And thanks to everybody who's praying for Ukraine. Thanks for everybody who's praying for this situation. And of course, pray for church in Russia, because they need revival. They need to really repent in everything they did in the last years, supporting demonic authorities, supporting the actions that, like in Hitler's Germany, church that supported Hitler, they really ruined themselves after this. So pray for those people, because I understand that some of them honestly believe lies with a good heart, but still, it's still lies, and it's still a pretty bad. Uh, Pretty bad situation. So thank you so much. It's quite late. Thanks for those of you who joined and listened to me. I also stream it. I streamed it on Facebook and YouTube, so it's going to stay on YouTube. You can go on my page on YouTube and watch it later if you just joined in the end. So thank you very much, and God bless you. See you later.